they are a legitimate threat to win it all. Of course, an underdog against the field. But to start these playoffs, Stephen A., I thought that there were 7 teams that you could say, if everything goes right, like the Warriors, everything doesn't even have to go right. But other teams, if things go right, they could possibly win. You can't say that about any team. I didn't think that about Denver or Portland or some other pretty good, or Indiana without Oladipo, or maybe even with him. But I did think that about the top 4 in the East and obviously Golden State, Houston, and OKC. I feel like the Sixers were the OKC of the East. When you looked at the talent, you said, yeah, they could contend, but somehow you didn't really think it was going to happen. In the Sixers' case, because they had a thin bench, because I felt Redick's defense could be exploited, and it's not like Tobias Harris plays great defense, because I don't know how all the pieces would fit, because Simmons still can't shoot, because Embiid, it seems to me, couldn't practice his way into playoff shape because of various physical ailments. It showed up in the playoffs last year. I thought it showed up early in these playoffs. And so I thought the Sixers, on paper could, the way OKC did, but look what happened to OKC, and the Sixers are next. Nope. Embiid somehow is, after missing with gastroenteritis and with the knee and the back and the this and the that, somehow he was able to get himself into shape to have that kind of performance. And if he can do that enough times per series, it is not unthinkable that the Sixers could win. We all know the talent in the starting 5, Stephen A. Simmons, who is not a playoff performer because he can't shoot, we understand, but in the open court is still deadly, just about as deadly as anyone. Obviously, you have a guy in Redick who can really, really shoot, if nothing else. Really nothing else, but boy, can he shoot. Tobias Harris, we all know, has turned into a scorer and a spot-up shooter extraordinaire, as you would say. And obviously, Jimmy Butler and Embiid. And we've been talking about Embiid, but Stephen A., no one has done more to enhance their reputation, to rehabilitate it, than Jimmy Butler, who 6 months ago, he's a cancer in the club, in the locker room. He can't be the best player in a championship team. I was saying this stuff.
But that was according to you, because I didn't feel that way.
I just said I was saying this stuff. And now you look at Jimmy Butler under the right circumstances, when he can look at his teammates and think, I respect these guys. They're putting in the work. When he can be a leader and in crunch time deliver the way he's delivering, Stephen A., it's not unthinkable that they could win the whole thing.
Well, you say that. I don't. And here's the reason why. Because I think that, first of all, first thing I look at is who are the champions? And who do I expect to be coming out of the West? That would obviously be the Golden State Warriors. Lethal marksmanship personified. So if you're going to go up against the Golden State Warriors, there are 2 components, one of 2 components that you must absolutely be on par. Either your defense is elite or your perimeter shooting is. One or the other. It can't be ebb and flow like the Sixers did last night. They shot better than 40%, 10 of 23 from three-point range. There were games that they don't do that. They stepped up defensively in moments, but there are a lot of times during the game where they don't do that. You can't have those lapses against the Golden State Warriors. They did beat the Golden State Warriors, split with them in the regular season. I get that. And I'd give them a game or 2 in the NBA Finals if they played them and they were making shots. But that's about it, because you have to be able to have one of those 2 components. And so when I look at the Sixers, all right, Joel Embiid, again, if Joel Embiid was 100% healthy, I'd have picked the Sixers to come out of the Eastern Conference.
Right.
But that's not the case with them. And then when I look at a Butler, I love Butler as your backup point guard because I'm watching him run the show when Ben Simmons is on the bench. And I love what I'm seeing from Jimmy Butler in that regard, as well as the other stuff that he's doing. Tobias Harris needs to get going a little bit more offensively. You've spoken about J.J. Redick's defense and how much of a question mark that is because people can take advantage of him. So I'm looking at all of those things. And then I'm looking at what I just finished talking about on Get Up. Joel Embiid, monster talent, no question about it. But what was the problem? First of all, this year was the first time he really took his backside down low and started playing like a man in the post instead of needing to face the basket and put the ball on the floor and dance around and shoot perimeter shots when you're 7-1. You got to be a man amongst boys at all times this time of year. They were blowing him out yesterday, and he was hitting those threes, and that's nice. But the real key to their success was early on in the game when Joel Embiid was taking those boys down low and saying, give me the ball and let me show you what the promised land is.
You mentioned the Warriors. In fact, they're susceptible to that. No,
I
this
agree.
is not like Bogut from a couple of years ago. They're susceptible to that. Embiid could abuse those guys down low. I'll tell you something else about the Warriors. And by the way, two more points. One, who on the Warriors who plays at an elite level, you can mention Draymond, but I think Butler as a scorer certainly is different, has the heart of Jimmy Butler. I saw the Warriors get their hearts, as we used to say, tooken by the Cavs a couple years ago before KD got there. The 73-win Warriors didn't score a single point in the last 4:22 of Game 7.
They were missing.
They were. Steph Curry was throwing behind-the-back passes out of bounds. Won a possession game in Game 7 of the finals.
Mike Wilbon, you're right. Mike Wilbon complained about that all the time because you, like Mike Wilbon, my buddies Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser. I mean, listen, Mike Wilbon almost gets contaminated by Tony Kornheiser on occasion. He'll sit up there and talk about a player. Yo, man, these guys are fantastic. They commit one turnover. See, they're just playing around. They're not taking it seriously.
But Butler, one thing you have to agree about.
They'll turn on them, but I'm just saying. They were just missing shots, and Steph Curry wasn't 100%.
But, Stephen A., does anyone on that team, I'll leave Draymond aside because he's not really an offensive option, have the heart of Jimmy Butler? Anyone on the Golden State Warriors have the heart of Jimmy Butler?
Well, that's true. Jimmy Butler's a rough rider. Jimmy Butler's a rough rider.
He's a little different.
He's a little different, but it's not like Golden State doesn't have heart. It just hasn't been tested because they're so superior to everybody. They ain't worried about it.
Last thing that amazed me, Sixers are top-heavy with no bench. But look at the contribution they got last night. Ennis and Scott and Monroe, they're getting contributions off the bench.
Max. Yeah, that's true, Max. But is that about the Sixers or is it about the Raptors?
Toronto's supposed to have a good bench.
Yeah, well, evidently not.